Hello, welcome to the video. Today we're gonna take a look at the best team in theory for the Great League Remix Cup. What we're doing is we're gonna take the best leader, the best swap, and the best closer together from PvPoke and see how this is going to go. So, best lead is going to be the Shadow Quagsire, based on what PvPoke says. Best say swap is going to be the Shadow variant of Gligar, and best closer is the Registeel. And what I have to say is, I kinda do agree with that. I think that's actually quite accurate, and that's kinda an interesting one as well. But of course, those Pokemon maybe are not supposed to play together with. Like, basically, like, it doesn't say that those Pokemon would be a good team together, so let's see if they are going to be a good team together, as they're going to run them all here in the position they're supposed to be in. And so, Aerial Ace coming through here against that Ninetales, getting a shield for us. Of course, we can swap out into our Registeel, our closer. And I have to say, Registeel is always ideal as a closer. It's very mediocre in the lead, I would say, because you don't have fast move pressure, but as a closer you have a ton of charge move pressure, which is also going to be the case against that opponent Swampert, which we're going to be able to get the shield against. We can go back into our Quagsire, going for the big awkward tail, and looks like another one is going to be enough to knock them, as we will be able to use a shield here. There's going to be a Hydro Cannon. We can still go for the CMP tie. We lose that, but it's fine, because one more Awkward Tail is all we really need, and so the opponent is going to end up only with their Ninetales. Now, of course, at this point, they decide to forfeit, and we can move on to the next opponent. Empoleon in the lead. That's actually quite nice for us, because we're going to have super effective fast move pressure. But also, the opponent has some charge move pressure here, which we don't really have. We have to go for that Awkward Tail, which is going to be resisted. Could have also went for the Stone Edge here, maybe to just try to one-shot them, but look at the damage here, it is still doing quite a lot of damage. So actually, maybe Stone Edge would have been the better play, but we can still knock them out here. We are in a shield disadvantage at this point, but they swap out into a Charizard, where I was like, why would you do this? Like, that does not really make any sense at all, but we can still go for an Awkward Tail, get the shield, and we're gonna try to catch the move here, which did not work out. I wanted to catch a Dragon Claw, but the opponent still decides to go for a charge move with that Charizard, going for the big Blast Burn here, as we will be able to reach out for another Aerial Ace against the opponent. Getting that shield is quite nice, and we can try to go for another charge move, as they decide to go for their own Blast Burn again. They're forced to go for a Blast Burn here, knocking me out, but they're also shieldless, which means we can go for one Awkward Tail, knock them out, and it's down to our Registeel. What do they have in the back? Are we going to be fine against it? It is going to be close. It's going to be a Victini in the back. Quite an interesting Pokemon. Honestly, seeing Victini is kind of cool, but what we did here is quite interesting as well. We're forcing the opponent with that to go for a back-to-back Recreate, leaving them with 0 energy and minus, like, I don't know how much damage. It's actually severely dropping, so like -4 defense. And so this is going to allow us to just mud-shot them down and win the battle. Next opponent, let's see what they're going to have. They're going to have a Dragonite in the lead. That's not ideal. We can swap out straight away into our Gligar, which can go for the Aerial Ace, which is going to do some neutral damage, and also forcing the shield from the opponent with that as well. This is going to be quite nice, as we can try to go for another one, forcing another shield, but here we're going to run into an issue. Where are we going to go into now? Do we decide to go into the Quagsire? Do we decide to go into our Registeel? Like, the logical one is Registeel, but I still decide to go into the Quagsire. Why is that the case? Superpower exists. Superpower does double super effective damage, and also we just get way faster 2 charge moves on our Quagsire compared to our Registeel, and so we are basically still in a tough spot. We have 1.5 Pokemon, but at least we have a shield advantage, and I don't know why I swapped out straight away. I should have went for an Awkward Tail and then swapped out, because if I went for an Awkward Tail and then swapped out, I would have put the opponent to a range where one Zapkin is enough to knock them out, and counter is like the biggest issue, like not the charge move or anything like this. But yeah, as we're gonna see here, there's not enough damage. They swap out into their own Registeel, and with that, the game is kind of over. Like, there's not a lot that I can do here. They decide to go ahead, let the move go through. Of course, they don't have a shield, and we are going to take that move as well, which is going to knock me out now. And we can swap out into the Quagsire, but we would need to overfarm by way too much, and so they can still reach another charge move in time, and it's going to be game. Good game there, well played, but we can move on to the next one. Another Dragonite, and honestly, I feel like the Dragonite plus Registeel core is quite common now, and it's quite an annoying core to deal with, and I do understand why this team works well. But also, if you saw my Alone Ninetales video, Alone Ninetales would feast against that core, like literally. Like, Alone Ninetales destroys the lead, and also Registeel, we have like great counters with that team in the back. So Yeah, interesting here. We're gonna see the area days coming through. We're gonna get the final shield from the opponent. And what are we gonna do now? We are forced to go back into our Cresselia. They swap out into the Poliwrath, and we are in a very tough spot. We are basically in a spot where it's impossible to win. Like, what is going to happen now? You're going to try to use a shield here, but Poliwrath is a core breaker for this team. Gligar's fine against Poliwrath. If they swap out into Poliwrath, that's fine. But if they're going to have it in the back, if they have it as a closer, we are kind of screwed because Gligar is basically our only answer. We still win the Zero Shields with our Registeel, but it's not a great one. And so in comes the Dragonite from the opponent. They're gonna decide to go for a charge move. They still should have enough energy to go for another charge move afterwards. And with that, this game is kind of over. We can still survive this one, but we have to hope there's something in the back that we can just one-shot. But oh, never mind. They one-shot us. So we can move on to the next one. We're going to have the Cresselia Elite Mirror, which is kind of interesting. Both Shadow. I have quite some decent attack stat here, so I would imagine that I can win the CMP tie quite often, at least against a lot of those Crexayas. But let's see here. The opponent decides to go ahead and go for their own charge move. It's going to be the Awkward Tail. And I can try to go for my own. And yes, we win the CMP tie here, which is quite cool, as this is going to allow us to get them quite low. We can use a shield. And we can try to go for the full farm down. Let's take a look at this. Awkward Tail coming through. We can see them swapping into the Mantine. I should have maybe got some extra energy as well beforehand. That was a mistake. I make another mistake here as well, which I should have not done. I decided to go straight for that Zap Cannon. Like, that is kind of silly. We just saw the Ice Beam. We could have just went for 4 more fast moves and get like 20 energy with it. And that can be quite impactful. Doesn't really seem to be the case here against something like a Gligar, and maybe actually it helped me out because now one dig is not enough damage to knock me out. But still, it's a little bit of a trickier matchup. We can go ahead and go for another Zap Cannon. That Zap Cannon is going to be able to connect and get a debuff onto them as well, which is kind of cool. A debuff here onto the opponent. Awkward Tail coming through now from the Cresselia, forcing a shield from them very likely. And yes, we're going to be able to get the shield as we can let the move go through. It is going to be another aerial ace coming through. They can knock me out here, but we still have our own Gligar. I think the opponent was debuffed still, and so they swap out trying to catch the move onto the Cresselia. That does not work out. We have a lot of energy already. We can take 2 aerial aces, and we are in a spot where the opponent has no way of winning this battle. And so this is going to be it for this game, and we can move on to the next opponent. We're going to have a Steelix here. That's going to be quite a nice lead for us. Let's see what the opponent is going to try to do. We can go for an Awkward Tail, get some nice, delicious damage onto the opponent, as they are deciding to go ahead and catch the move on a Ferrothorn. That worked out well, trainer. Good job there. Although Ninetales, we just talked about it before, they swap onto a Pelipper. Not as ideal for our Registeel. Like, if we just no shield all the time, the 2-shield scenario can be quite tricky because you just generate energy quite fast, and also Weather Ball is just going to do neutral damage. So it's not as clear as, for example, against the Mantine, where the matchup is way better. Like, it's still clear in the 0 and 1-shield scenario. There's no way the opponent has any chance against that. But anything else can be a little bit tricky. We're gonna get the debuff here, which is kind of cool. Maybe I should have used the shield then before as well, but I am going to be able to either get 2 shields here or the knockout. I could even decide to just use both of my shields afterwards as well and get the knockout again with that then as well. But I decided to let the move go through and just rely on to my Quagsire. They under charge, I can swap out, and they decide to forfeit. Next opponent, we're going to have a Swampert in the lead. That's going to be quite a decent one for us. Kinda. We should be able to 2-shot them with an Awkward Tail here. We're both Shadow. Awkward Tail is definitely 2-shotting them here. And so we're always going to be able to outspeed them, but they are very likely going to be able to 1-shot me. And so while I outspeed them doing more damage, and them, yeah, just being in a little bit of a better spot with that as well. Like, honestly, it is quite an awkward one. You can try to go for another Awkward Tail, but it does not work out. The opponent is going to go for another charge move. We decide to use a shield, and I should have not went straight for it. I should have went for a little bit of an overfarm, because now they can let the move go. Never mind, they decide to use a shield again. And so they're going to CMP tie me here, which is fine. I could actually decide to go into the Registeel here and try to get some extra energy just from that Swampert, but I felt that was a little bit risky. They have a Mantine in the back. I have to try to catch a move here. We try to catch a move. They have a Sableye in the back. While this does not look too bad, it is quite bad, because Sableye is a Pokemon that we are going to be forced to swap out of usually here, but like, of course I cannot swap out. And also the opponent just going to be able to barely survive and get off 2 charge moves. And like, those 2 charge moves going to put me into range for anything that the opponent can go for. And so we are in a spot where I would like to swap and catch the move now, but it does not work because we don't have the switch lock up. And so, yeah, we're gonna go down here to an aerial ace from a Mantine, which is quite annoying. We can try to go for our own aerial aces here with our Gligar, but at this point I was kind of certain that 2 of them are not going to be enough, and yes, they are not, and so we let the move go through from the opponent. This is going to be a Water Pulse. It is not going to knock us out actually, which is kind of funny because now I decided, yeah, just gonna go for another one here and see if this is going to work. It doesn't, and so we're gonna go down. Thackery is actually an interesting Pokemon. Honestly, quite a good Pokemon in this current meta. I feel like there's nothing that can counter really Thackery, like in terms of just generally, like there's nothing that just hard counters this Pokemon. Barely any normal type around, barely any dark type around. I guess like sometimes you can see like the odd Gustlord, which I saw before. But yeah, usually this Pokemon seems kind of safe, and so they decided to go for the Shadow Ball here as well. In comes a Raichu. That's lovely. Like honestly, this Pokemon is so cool. I like to see it. I kind of want to take a look at some electric type Pokemon as well for this cup, so maybe this is one of my Pokemon I want to take a look at as well. But it's going to do quite a lot of damage, as we're going to see here. The Wild Charge is going to connect, going to do some quite nice damage, as we can go for the dig here, force another shield. And now the opponent's shield's down. They are going to be able to align themselves because they're going to get the CMP tie done here. I could decide to use a shield, but I don't really feel like it is worth it, as we still have our Quack. Quack is a bag, as we can use no shield actually. As they go for a Wild Charge, we try to go for the full farm down. They go back into the Thackery. Now it's hopefully something in the back that we can deal with our Registeel, because otherwise we're going to struggle quite a bit. And so let's see what it's going to be in the back. It is going to be Jumpluff, and yeah, we win. We win this battle quite easily. Next one, we're going to have the Carbink here in the lead. That's going to be quite a cool one, as we are going to swap out now into the Gligar. Gligar is going to be able to, yeah, take a shield here, because I don't think I would have been able to knock them out with the Aerial Ace at that point. We are going to be able to now go ahead and go for an Aerial Ace. If they want to use a shield, that's fine. They decide to use a shield, and so we can overfarm again. We lose CMP tie, so going straight for an Aerial Ace doesn't help us, but we can guarantee alignment. So what we can do here as well is we can go for another Aerial Ace. We are going to be able to just go ahead and get the knockout. In comes the Carbink again, and I feel like this was like one of the battles where I was kind of feeling bad for my opponent. I have 2 digs stored now. We can swap out and they swap out into a Gligar. Like, bro, there are water types around. Water types exist. Water types are scary for you. Please prepare more for a water type Pokemon. Like literally, like what are you doing? We're gonna be able to let the move go through because no protect shields available. We can try to go for another Awkward Tail, which is going to work out for us. And now, cool, we have a Carbink against us, which is going to struggle against literally everything that we still have left. And honestly, I think the best play that I could have done here actually is to just go into my Registeel, because I think then they will just forfeit straight away. But I rather decided to just go for some time wasting here by going for 2 digs, which are going to knock them out anyway as well. But yeah, like, we don't have to show them the final Pokemon, right? Yeah, right. The final opponent for today, Horribleed. Are we going to have to stay in here, I think, for a little bit? I can go for an Awkward Tail on the CMP die. That's not great. That is quite bad, to be fair. I am going to be able to go for another charge move, which is lovely, but what am I going to do now? I am going to swap out. I'm going to swap out. I cannot speed them, but they swap out into a Goodra. That is not so good. We're going to be able to go for some, or at least Aerial Aces here. 2 Aerial Aces should be enough to knock them out, but they decide to use a shield. So maybe now it's time to have a little bit of a dig at them, as we gonna use the shield against the Awkward Tail. We are gonna try to go for double Aerial Ace instead, because that is going to be safe. That is going to force either another shield, which it does, and we're gonna still be able to get some damage onto them. So that was quite a lovely play from us. Very precise and very efficient, as we can swap out into our Registeel, which is going to be able to absorb all the energy that the opponent definitely has here. But anyway, we're going to see here the full lock on down, hopefully against that Goodra. Getting some energy is quite important, especially with such a great closer as Registeel it is. We will have a ton of energy as they're gonna go into a Carbink. Carbink is their best answer? I don't think so, but like, oh, they're gonna go ahead and now catch the move, as we can try to go for another charge move against the opponent. We are forced to use a shield here, and with that, we're also going to be forced to hope that our Quagsire is going to be enough to win us this battle. It is going to be quite a little bit annoying, but I think we have some energy stored, and yes we do, and so it's down to Awkward Tail, it is down to us outspeeding the opponent's Carbink. Let's find out if we can win this battle. One more would be enough, and yes, we can get that on off. And so that's going to be it for today's video. Hopefully you enjoyed this. If you did, feel free to leave a like, as they're going to try to still knock us out. That is fine. But yeah, that's going to be it. Hopefully you enjoyed. Check out the videos on the screen as well, and I'll see you then. Bye bye.